Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I'm filming in the morning. I don't often do that, which means I had to cut short. I got a little heel biter at my heels there. My work in the shed this morning, in that shed. Now we're headed to the Commonwealth cabin and we've got some look at these two. Oh my goodness. That's what happens when you film in the morning, I guess. But today's topic is the changing world of reselling, because it is changing rapidly. And especially, I've heard a lot of news lately that things are changing even more in the near future. Let's go take a look. All right, looks like morning filming means I have guests. Everybody else is out of here at practice. You know, my little reselling world is changing a bit too here. This is not a typical day I'd film. I usually film 3 days a week and ship 3 days a week. But we've had so many sales lately that I want to fit in the topics, and so I decided to film an extra day, which is why my wife didn't realize that I was filming an extra day, and she's got me going out to dinner. The girls got me doing 2 live shows. So I had to get out here early and film and ship. So pulling eBay orders and doing live shows and shipping and having a family life and all that stuff. I'm glad my family's gone today. My wife babysits kids a couple days a week for some friends. And they're doing that. And Turner's with her at the pool, I think, or something like that. And then Reagan is at gymnastics practice. Whenever I see giant print Bibles, I usually pick them up. And I sure do when they're in a box and they're 50 cents. So I did that for sure. And that one sold rather quickly for, what did this one go for? 40 bucks? It went for something now. It went for 30 bucks. $29.95 plus shipping. You two gonna help me ship today? Highly doubtful. We have sold quite a few Bibles lately, actually. They've been flying out of here, and I guess it's because I've been finding them. They usually sell fairly quickly if you pick the right ones. Don't pick any Bible. Golf stuff is going pretty well as well, and golf club head covers, which I'm a little low on, to be honest with you, but I was happy that Mike Deathpile Picker left some here, so I listed them. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you, brother. And hope to see you soon, which is part of the topic today, but that's a little bit later. Deluxe head covers. They're generic, but they are purple, and that helped them sell. $20 plus shipping. So the topic today is the changing world of reselling, and we're going to focus on those most recent changes and things that are literally changing as we speak. But, you know, there's always changes in reselling. I can remember the days, you know, I don't want to go back and hash all this out, but man, it was a different world when I started reselling 23 years ago at this point, 24 just about. And it was just insane how, well, it wasn't insane back then, but looking back on it from now, it feels like it's just completely insane. Some of you old timers out there, maybe you're not old, but you just been selling a long time. You remember those days of getting cash in envelopes and cashier's checks and money orders and all that stuff, and the delay between the purchase and the item arriving and all those things that would go on. It was the Wild West. It was fun. In some ways, I remember those days fondly, but at the same time, there are so many more systems and so many more sales today than there were 20 years ago, because the audience is changing. The buyer habits are changing in a good way. And of course, the structural changes in payment systems, and the big one that changed, you know, with PayPal years back, and all the new stuff that's going on now. Some of it I don't like, some of it I do like. This ET, some things never change. I still like old cool stuff. This little ET wind up. I paid too much at this sale for these two, this one and one like it, which I think I have listed on Dibdit. What did I do with the other one? Oh, there he is right there. Have it listed on Dibdit.com. And this one and that one and some ephemera and a book I paid up a little bit for, I think $10. And so this one only sold for $7 plus shipping, but I've got another one and I've got that ephemera too, so it'll work out. But the lady was kind of cool. Little wind up ET toy. Man, ET was funky looking, y'all. $7 plus shipping. You know, some of you may remember when there was no sales tax put on these items either. That was a change that, you know, it is what it is. Obviously, I don't like it because it raises the cost, but it was inevitably going to happen at some point. And there's other things, of course, I've talked about I don't like. I'm not a fan of promoted listings, but there are so many things that I am a fan of. You know, the increased fees are also something that none of us like. And then you add promoted on top of that and all that. But, you know, it is the cost of doing business. And the innovations that I am going to talk about do have a cost to them as well. And there is more competition than ever. And I know that is a good thing for resellers. But you still have to navigate and figure out what your path is based on the innovations, based on the audience of each platform and other factors. So I guess you guys act like you're going to go out, and then you come right back in when I come in. I guess we'll get to those most recent changes that have already occurred and the ones that are occurring as we speak. Have you ever made a deal where you've paid too much for one item, but you did it because of the bundle and you wanted to get the overall cost down? And I don't offhand remember the exact numbers of this sale, but this guy had a ton of jerseys, and some of them were awesome. Crosby, and they had a Lemieux jersey, and some other ones that were higher dollar. And I was trying to work the deal down from their original price, and this one was a good one. It ended up selling for $56.95. However, I was trying to work the price of everything down. I actually ended up, if you take each item, divide it by what I paid, paying $33 for this one and 33 cents. So I think that's right, which is too much for this one. I would never pay that for just this item right here and sell it for 56 bucks. There's not enough margin in it, but because it was part of a bigger deal, getting the price down on everything, it made sense to me. And there's still profit in there, just not very much, but I'll make a ton of profit on the other ones. Just saw my wife's sunglasses. She's at the pool today. She will not be happy she left them in here. I better call her. Speaking of my wife, she was in here shipping last night, and she helps me out shipping quite a bit. She takes all the easy stuff, and I do all the hard stuff, and we knock it out fairly quickly, which is awesome. But this is slightly off topic, slightly on topic. I really have, and let me know what you think, because this is not popular to say. I have seen a leveling of those shipping prices. Ground Advantage has been a complete game changer for me, for a bunch of people. And this is the first year I felt like it's not just this continuing struggle. I'm shipping stuff out of here fairly cheap. I feel like it's cheaper than 2 years ago. A lot of people are going to disagree with that, and there's still some stuff, you know, especially distance-wise and size-wise, that are huge, huge costs. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good about the future and what shipping is looking like, because there's competition there too, and that's what I want to talk about first, and then get into the individual innovations of some of these platforms. I guess we'll start with a few that have already happened that we're almost taking for granted, and that, you know, Google Lens, of course, you know, started all that stuff, and then eBay adopted theirs. It was a little wonky and not too great at first. I feel like, and maybe you do too, that feature, the lens feature in eBay, is an absolute sourcing game changer for me. I love it, and it seems to be getting better and more useful. As a matter of fact, I can't remember last time I used Google Lens. It is, you know, and I don't look up tons of stuff when I'm outsourcing, but man, you better believe I'm going to look it up if I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. And eBay's lens has been awesome. I've enjoyed that. And I think this hat is in here. This is kind of a funny sale. And some of you may remember the New Era thing where on Bonanza I was sent a cease and desist. Did not get that on eBay. I feel like there was a ton of AI problems as far as their bots and things finding stuff and delisting stuff and warning stuff, and that has calmed down. I don't think it's gone away, but it's calmed down. It looks like AI is coming into its own on some of these platforms, and it's still a pain, but at the same time there's huge benefits. This Raiders 5950 hat sold for $28.75 plus shipping. I think I paid $5, and I bought that one in Las Vegas with the Art of Resale. So in addition to that, I would say that, you know, those features are awesome. For the most part, I've enjoyed them, but there's been some still. I think the AI description feature in eBay still has a long way to go. However, I've seen improvement in that as well. Let me know what you think. I've even used some of them. You know, I don't think descriptions are the most important thing. They are in particular items, but not on others. And I don't even waste my time, this might surprise some of you, with hardly any description at all. If any. Sometimes I haven't put that in there, but I've noticed lately they've been requiring the description. So I've been doing that, at least on my app, it seems like they have. So maybe I'm wrong about that. But I do think that part is getting better. What I absolutely love is the new AI picture background options in the studio ones. And it's not exactly robust. It's not like using Photo Room or something like that. but it is way better. I do find that it makes the image look smaller, so after it's done, I crop it to make the item appear larger. I think that's a real key in your listings when you're looking at pictures. You want to be able to see that item, even if you're cutting it close and missing parts of the item. Blowing it up is almost always a big way to be able to make it more visual to the people who are buying. But I love that option. That has become way better for me. I'm able to skip a step a lot of times if I think an item has enough importance to put a really good picture out there, as opposed to using time. You know, sometimes time is more important than the picture. Sometimes the picture is more important than time. Sometimes it's helpful just to have somebody in the house so I don't have to deal with these two all day long. Sophie's up there sleeping. Why don't y'all go sleep? There have, of course, been other innovations and changes in platforms, you know, live selling, whether it's Whatnot or District, or there's other ones out there as well. eBay still hasn't got that thing up and running in a robust way in any stretch, and I don't have much hope for it, to be perfectly honest with you, but hey, you never know. I've been surprised before. Those are things that have happened over the last few years. Some are happening as we speak, and you can see I have this wonderful vantage point because of you guys who watch me, of being able to see some of it behind the scenes from time to time. Not necessarily literally seeing it behind the scenes, but hearing things way sooner than I would have heard them otherwise, because I'm in this world where everybody seems to be somehow connected and talking about what's coming. And those platforms are changing things as well. And they're new platforms, and they're changing things rapidly. And I'm seeing the other ones respond to it and react to it. We've talked about this before with Mercari's changes and who they're seeking as an audience and as sellers, and eBay and who they're seeking as an audience. What's their long-term plan? And you see those changes coming in, and I see some good things coming out of eBay. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but there are quite a few things. I've just talked about a few of them that I think are upside things as opposed to downside things, and maybe we'll save the downside stuff. Ooh, they're fighting. Poncho and Wallen are brothers, and let me tell you, they act like brothers. One of you is going to have to go, or both of you. Which one's it going to be? I try not to play favorites, so they both had to go. This came from that amazing buy that some of you saw on the Picker channel. Bought tons of WWF, old vintage wrestling stuff, for 60 bucks, and we have made a ton off of it already. This one alone sold for $70 plus shipping. It's the classic edition, Series 2 from, what year is this? 1990. This has the Ultimate Warrior rookie in it, and I pulled out from the rest of that sale like 18 separate Ultimate Warrior rookies in great shape. They're not worth a ton, but hey, there's 18 of them. So that one sold for 70 bucks plus shipping. I remember over a year ago, it might be longer than that, I remember the first time I heard somebody actually express this. I think it was Chernok's Connection on Reseller Information Network, and we subsequently talked about it on the Trash Cash podcast. You know, envisioning a day, the dog's falling back in. All right, I had to take him upstairs, so see how long it takes me to get back down here. Envisioning a day where snapping a picture of something and then the item is listed. And I thought, that's interesting. I said, I don't know how long that'll occur. And we joked about it on the podcast, like Carrie talked about a machine, just throwing things in a machine and it comes out listed on the other side. I was like, maybe. They're already had that for cards, right, Carrie? American Arbitrage. And so you could do that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, this is interesting. I wonder what's going to happen. And let me tell you, right now, it's already occurring. So the first I heard of some kind of an implementation, I don't know this because I don't list on my computer with District, but I think Leroy was talking about it on Blood, Sweat, and Sell, where he was able to, I think, use a picture to complete a listing over there on the District app. I was like, wow, that's really cool. I think you had to use a computer, not the app. And then I have now heard, of course, the different cross-listing platforms are constantly innovating and going back and forth, and this stuff is becoming more advanced. It's also expensive, so you have to take that into account. However, it looks like I've heard List Perfectly is coming out with this as well, where the picture itself does most of the listing for you, and then you go in and tweak it and stuff like that. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't used it yet, so I'm not going to speak on it, but I'm telling you, these changes are coming rapidly. And I'm looking forward a little bit, I want to get your opinion on this, to see what the ramifications are for certain changes like that. I think some are awesome, and then some maybe provide a little bit more of competition for us. And of course, with all these things, there's always glitches and, you know, stuff that goes on at the beginning stages. I'm usually not an early adopter of most of this stuff, but I am an early and interested spectator. Continuing to sell stuff from that crazy good buy right down the road from me on a Friday that just turned out to be incredible. This is a Leloader reloading tool. And this one sold. I mean, we got this stuff dirt cheap, y'all. $23.70 plus shipping. I've always fancied myself, maybe not fairly, I suppose, but as somebody who loves to read between the lines and read the tea leaves and look into the future and kind of figure out the agendas behind some of the changes or the changes that result from those agendas. And I know that seems similar, it's a little bit different, but I think that what I've been talking about lately with platforms like Mercari and whatnot and District and eBay and the changes they've implemented, they're all going towards certain goals. Some of them seem to conflict because there's different parts of different platforms that are working for different goals. But this seems to me like it's coming together, and the AI portion of it drives most of these changes. I have been selling a ton of books lately. I'm just going to show them to you down here, and then I'm going to put the camera down. But the bookshelf for boys and girls, I gravitate towards these sets. And some of them are really good, and you can tend to get them pretty cheap because when people decide they want to get rid of them, they want to get rid of them. And this set right here, I don't remember what I paid, but I know I didn't pay what it sold for, $40 plus shipping. And they're really pretty easy. They're heavy, but they're square. It's not hard to pack and ship them. All right, they're not exactly rectangle, but you get the point. You know, you take a couple of these, slide them down that way, reduce the size, the height of it, and you end up with a square. So I love selling them. Speaking of reading between the lines to find agendas, I'm sure some of you do that with me. So me mentioning List Perfectly having the ability now or in the process of using the picture stuff to create your listing, that was not me trying to push my affiliate link, code Commonwealth, 15% off. It really wasn't. But hey, you know, it can serve a dual purpose. All right, but in all seriousness, listen, and some of you aren't going to want to hear this, and that's fine. This is not for everybody. But, you know, this idea of social selling, it has been growing. We've talked about whatnot. We talk about District, and they've tried to overlay other social parts of selling, not just the live selling, but the communications in the threads, things like Discord. They've tried to pull in ideas from Discord, from Facebook groups. Really, this is kind of where some of this stuff started, y'all. There are groups with common interests that buy and sell in those groups over there. And so now you're starting to see that implemented in live selling platforms. I don't see eBay having the ability to adapt into that, nor really the need, because there are so many things and there are so many types of buyers that aren't experiential buyers. They are buyers because of need or desire, and they search it out. They don't want the social part of it. It's got nothing to do with their lives, and they just want to find the items, which is why eBay is still huge and still growing. However, y'all, whatnot is now 10% of what eBay is. That is, and that may not seem like much, but that is a monumental task to have been done in such a short time. The District app is growing as well, and they're incorporating live selling, or excuse me, they're incorporating marketplace selling. Both of these platforms are incorporating marketplace selling. There's a lot of interesting things changing out there. I did a video the other day talking about a year from now what would be the best platform to sell on, and the answer was still eBay. And I still believe that. But I'm not going to be blind to all the different changes that are going on. I'll also tell you, I'm a little scared of AI. Because, well, there's multiple reasons I'm scared of it, but it doesn't meet, how do I say this? I don't want people to get the wrong impression. My own personality doesn't like the idea of some of this stuff because my mind is old. I don't think like this, and it makes me think outside the box. It makes me think down the road a little bit, and let's face it, most of us are averse to change, and I am too. but I'm not dumb enough to bury my head in the sand. And I want to talk about some of the possible ramifications, both positive and negative, from some of these changes, especially the one where you snap a picture and it basically automates most of your listing or all of it. I think the next one is going to be in this bin. I hate this bin because something's on top of it and I got to pull it out. It's the biggest bin, but you know what? This system's so much better than it used to be. You know, a lot of times I'll just pick up a hat for $1 and I'm surprised when I get home. I thought maybe, well, this would be a live selling hat or something, but no. It sells pretty good. This one sold for $20.85 for a modern Chevy hat. I think it's the color plus shipping. You know, when we hear something new, a lot of times the immediate thought is, how does that affect me? And so something like that, it's like, oh, sweet, I can do my listings way faster. I can get more up. I can make more money, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes you got to stop and think, okay, not only how does it affect me, but how does it affect the masses? And then what effect will that have back on me in addition to the initial effect? And it's, I don't know, the example I think of right off the top of my head, and it may be political, but I think it makes the point either way, no matter which side you fall on here, is like when you hear, because I've got a boy that, you know, just came out of college, Bubba's fiance at this point. She just graduated college early, mind you. Congratulations to both of you early. Incredible success so far, so that's awesome. That's a side point. You know, when I see young people talking about college debt and, you know, absolving all college debt and paying off everybody's loans and all that stuff, you know, they think initially how that affects their own life, but they don't think for the rest of their life, if that policy is enacted, they're going to be paying for everybody else down the line if the same thing is enacted. So those are the kind of things. It's not just the immediate effect, but what does it have an effect on everybody else? And if this thing came into be, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that means it's a lot easier to list stuff. That means maybe some novices are going to, instead of, say, having a yard sale, they're going to list it themselves. I think that's Mercari's play. They want to increase that casual seller and buyer base together and not necessarily be attracting us professional resellers, so to speak. I don't think that's necessarily eBay's play, because there is a lot more customer service involved when you have casual sellers. They don't know what they're doing half the time. They're selling stuff without good descriptions, without good pictures, the return process and all that stuff. They don't want to have to deal with that end of it. There's a lot of cost to customer service. So I think eBay would much prefer a smaller seller base that is selling more. I think that's what's going to occur with this kind of picture style. Because if we can all increase our output to put this stuff out there more, then the market supply is going up, which means the demand is going down. So to have a smaller pool over on eBay as a seller base, or maybe not an expanding pool as a seller base, is probably better for their bottom line, where Mercari's making the other play to get the casual seller. I could be wrong, but I think that's where it's going. I had to go into the eBay cave to get the next item. Look who I found sleeping. That's no name. Please ignore the misuse of public property for just a second. This is an Electrolux. It's a Lux Classic. And I have not been picking up vacuum cleaners until lately because the deals were just too daggone good. Same place, actually. Actually, it's not. That was a different vacuum. I bought this one the other day. I think I paid $20. Might have paid $25, but I think I paid $20 for this one. And it was pristine. I don't often come across these in this good a shape, and I've come across two. That one sold for like $350. This one sold for, I think, $300. Let me look really quick. It sold for $250. I literally bought this 6 days ago and listed it, tested it, and I thought about parting it out, but it's such good shape. It works good. Decided to put it together. Now I got to ship it, but you know what? I'm going to make a bunch of money off of that. Close, not quite. I'm going to make like $175. I will spend the time it takes to pack this thing up for $175 for sure. Might even pack it in a bin. You know, if you're anything like me, you pick up those giant bins all the time at yard sales and whatever, and they're super cheap because you're buying the item in it. Sometimes the tub itself is worth more than the item in it, and I buy those and I try to bundle them up because I use them, but sometimes I get too many, which is right now. So I've got a bin out there the right size. I think I might package that up in a plastic bin as opposed to a box, but I don't know, I might not. We'll see. It doesn't add much weight to it, so if it's the right size. All right, I'm warning you, I'm going to get into the weeds here in just a second with some external factors that kind of drive these platform changes along with the new technologies. Sold another Harley wallet chain. This is the long one here. 40 inches or so. And that sold for $29.95 plus shipping. Some of you have not been watching me for a very long time. We appreciate you stopping by. Maybe hit that subscribe button. But for those of you who have been watching for a long time, you know I've talked about multiple things. But, you know, Informed Consumer, we went extensively into the idea of the 1099 and, you know, 5,000, 20,000, 5,000, 600 1099, which doesn't look like it's going to happen, thank goodness. $2,000 estimate for 1099. And I think that's why you've seen some of these changes. So if you want to attack that casual market, you don't want those casual sellers to be worried about that. You know, if they're only selling a few $100, $500, $1,000, they start getting higher than that. You're trying to implement things that kind of push that concern away for a lot of sellers. My son, for instance, he's a very casual seller. And he went from being casual to being extremely casual now. And I have no doubt that it's because, you know, of that 1099 number and what he's going to be doing and everything. He's come to the point where he's just selling stuff to me instead of him actually selling. He didn't have a lot. He's not searching for things to sell. They're personal things. He's not old enough to have accumulated enough stuff like all of us have to have a yard sale. And so he's hesitant to be a casual seller unless it's a very, very low rate, because then you heap on all these extra hurdles and taxes and accounting and all that stuff, and it's just not worth it for some folks. So for Mercari to go in that direction, this is my opinion, by the way, that's why they also implemented the structures with the payouts as well, so that the money can be spent on that platform, and the payouts are what are going to count towards that 1099 and all this stuff that goes on. I think I'm right about that. I may be off, but I think I'm right about that. And I think eBay's going a slightly different direction. We've already talked about the live selling platforms, the social selling platforms, really trying to create an atmosphere, much like TikTok did with TikTok Shop and all those different things. Selling is changing rapidly. Now, at the same time, it's nothing to be afraid of, especially if you're, you know, retired and whatever. Look, eBay's going nowhere. It may have to tweak things around the edges for you with all these changes that are going to be implemented, but it's not going to have a huge effect next week. But for those of us who plan on being in the game for 10, 20, 30 more years, you know, maybe we should start thinking about these things. You know, there are many different types of ways you can categorize buyers. But the way I like to think of it, there are two major groups of buyers. There are the need-based buyers, the people that know what they want, that are searching for what they want, and they go and find it and they buy it. And then there are the experiential buyers, kind of like the old days. You know, we used to get that catalog, and you look through it, and you don't know what you want until you see it. And that, of course, the people are catering to that on the live selling platforms. And it's a smaller percentage of buyer, but it is out there, and you'll see that on TikTok Shop. It's like you never knew you wanted this item until you saw this, somebody do an ad. It's like, oh, that's awesome, I gotta pick it up. You know, the QVC type buyer. So this SuperPad 64 generic Nintendo 64 controller, and it's over $24.50 plus shipping. So I'd love to hear your opinion. Let's say over the last 2 years, what's the best thing that happened to reselling, the best innovation, the best change? What's the worst change that's happened to reselling, and where do you see this whole train going? Look at me becoming a better picker. I had never picked up a scarf in my life until I saw Chernock pick up a silk scarf a couple years ago here at this sale. And he looked at it and he's like, yeah, this one's really awesome. It's going to go for like $200, $250. I'm like, really? And so I've picked them up from time to time, and, you know, they're not bad. This one, along with two others, were on a hanger at a sale, and I'm like, how much? And they're like, 3 for $1. I'm like, well, I'm gonna buy it because I saw a signature on it. And I don't know if I can find it here real quick without taking too much time. Probably can't, but there was a signature on it somewhere. But it is a Laurel Birch silk scarf. Like I said, dog on it. And look, there's dogs on it. And that one sold for $20 plus shipping. Remember, I paid 3 for $1, and I got 2 more that have value as well. So, you know, not a home run, but man, I could have walked past this stuff all day long, which I'm sure I have. It's not a bad little sale. Look at this, more books sold. Not these, the ones behind it, so I'm gonna have to dig them out. This is a set of old French classics. What are they? Romance, I think. Romance novels, and they sold for $39.95 plus shipping. By the way, talking about experiential buyers, and it is a growing pool and a larger percentage just simply because the growth of social media. And it's why I designed this cabin the way that I did, to have a lot of my merchandise to be visible. And it encouraged, look, there's a lot of folks out there who sell and they use social media in an effective way to do that. It's not what drives my business, but I wasn't going to ignore that facet of my business. I wanted to make things visible. And I got this from an old friend of ours who is long since passed, but he owned a grocery store, and he told me all about it when I was like 8. And I remembered it, you know, why this is here in a store, why this other stuff is here, why the candy is at kids' height, that, you know, all that stuff. And he's like, you know, that's how you sell things. I'm like, okay. And so the back part is functional. Obviously, it's not like display, but it's why I divided this cabin into 2, and I allowed for the high ceilings here and not here, plus there's storage up there. So, you know, even if that's not the type of seller you are, it is a growing pool of folks. Just simply because social media has grown to the point where, I mean, let's face it, we're just on our phones way more. We're consuming social media that we're choosing much more. Like, I consumed media from when I was a little kid. My dad watched TV all the time. I love the radio. It's just what I did. But it wasn't directed at me based on my history. And now it is, and it is such a powerful tool for sellers. And, you know, I don't think eBay's set up to tap into that growing market per se, although there are ways they could probably do it. I sold a plush that I thought I'd have a hard time selling, but it sold. Because it's Gans. Gans doesn't do particularly well, especially generic. This is a Heritage Bear collection with a little hang tag on it, and I was surprised, but I did sell it. $15, $14.95 plus shipping. A couple quick things. I got one more sale. I have been terrible about thanking folks who have sent me stuff. I almost gave up. There was so much stuff, but I saw this and I thought I could thank this person, and they gave me some other stuff too, some St. Jude stuff for some charity auctions in Q4. And this is from Flipping Daytona Beach. So I want to say thank you for that. And thank you for the kind words. And for the pineapple string lights. We appreciate you. And I also want to say, maybe to help me out, because there's so much stuff that comes into us, which is we're incredibly grateful for, that I'm thinking pretty seriously about making like once a month just thanking people. Because I always feel like I need to thank people. There's an expectation I thank them on these videos, but we're selling so much more and I talk so much, it's like, it's pretty tough for the viewer. So on Garage Sale Nation, which is our kind of catch-all channel, it's where we go live on our live sales, no matter where they're at. It's where we do shorts. I do produce some shorts, a couple a week, 2 to 4 a week, and put them over there as well. That's kind of a hedge for the social media. You know, I like to hedge my bets a little bit. And I enjoy making them, but I don't have that much time. So we put them over there because there are some folks who don't like shorts to put on this channel or whatever. I thought about maybe doing one live on this channel, one of the live sales, and getting interaction from you folks. Or maybe on the Commonwealth Picker channel. That's probably what we do. We also go live on Facebook. But I thought maybe I'd put that video once a month over on Garage Sale Nation channel and film it as a long video and just thank folks, because it's very kind of y'all to do that. And maybe I'll thank the consistent folks who always use our affiliate links too and do all that stuff, and buy from American Bubble Boy and buy the tape from my go-to tape co Commonwealth. All those folks, we really do appreciate you, and I don't ever take it for granted, so thank you. Haven't sold one of these in a while, and I'm wondering if this is the last one. I'm wondering where I put it, for that matter. It can't be in the shoe bin. Did I move that bin? What the heck did I do with that? Now I remember. I did move that because I needed to slide another bin in here to go with the shoes and boots, because we've been buying so many lately. And so I put it up here. And it is not the last one. We still have more of these Rescuer Down Under ornaments, Christmas ornaments. And bought these at the Disney store when my wife and daughter go shopping. Me and Turner go to the Disney store and do some retail arbitrage. Paid like $2 a piece for these, I think. And this one sold for $20.95. No, it didn't. It sold for $19.95. Free shipping on those. So let's just do some quick math. 3, 5. We're going to make about $10 profit on that one. We bought a bunch of them, so multi-quantity order. I had to come in the other shed because I was working on some stuff for eBay the other day. And this one got put up before the other ones did, and I just left it with the other batch. I didn't remember. But That is Black Sabbath Paranoid, obviously condition issues. I decided to put it out on auction for $8.51 plus shipping. Hey, if y'all ever come across true classic stuff, it sells pretty darn good. This is an XL, just a typical gray t-shirt, and it sold for $19.95 plus shipping. So while I don't love every platform and everything that every platform does, I certainly got to give some props to a few things and a few of these innovations that have really, I think, helped. And there's a few things that don't help. But tell me what you think about that as well. What do you see in the future for specific platforms? You know, I'm no expert on Poshmark. Don't pretend to be. Probably never will be. I don't sell on there right now. Or Etsy and whatever. Maybe I'll do that someday. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But what do you see in the foreseeable future for major changes that we haven't even thought of yet? So tell me that in the comments below. Thank you, as always, for joining us. I am headed out to do some highway sales. As a matter of fact, by the time you see this, I'll be back from one highway sale that we're headed to here in the next day or two. And then, what else? I got 2 more highway sales coming up this year, and that should be fun as well. Come check us out on Trash to Cash Podcast if you have... don't check us out. It's not worth it. But come check us out on Garage Sale Nation as well if you like shorts. Appreciate that. And check out dibdit.com if you want to see us selling live over there, along with a whole slew of other people who have joined as members. We're well over 3,000 at this point, probably 3,500-ish or so by this point. And if you want to sell over there as well, it's slow going unless you're selling live right now. But it is fun, and I'm communicating with folks over there. So if you have a question for me and you want me to answer it, go over to Dibdit, become a member, and drop a question over there. Have a few auctions going on over there too, I think, right now. And some of the cool stuff that I have displayed, I have listed over there on Dibdit because I don't really want to sell it. Anyway, I don't know what commentary that is, but it's slower selling static over there is what I'm trying to say. So, anyway, I also give better deals over there too. Can't wait to see you next